So if you go to, let me start in Opera where it looks a little prettier. Okay, so if you go to the class here, let me just get from the start here in case people start with this video. So you go to samsclass.info. The most important thing, samsclass.info is what you need for all of my classes. Start here, then you click on your class, which is 128, and then you got to, here's how you get the textbook. That's interesting. Okay, I do have the textbook information here. It's just not in Canvas. Anyway, it is here. For some reason I thought it wasn't there earlier when I was looking for it. But that's how you get a free copy of the textbook. And here's how you get to the Canvas where you can take quizzes and such. And here's the schedule. So as you can see, all I did was talk about this worst mobile apps today, just sort of give you a general flavor of what we're going to do in this course. And then there's stuff due next week. You should start taking quizzes and start turning in homework. Now this is a mess. The point is there are several ways to accomplish. In order to do what we need to do, you need to get an Android emulator and Burp running. The Android emulator will let you install apps on a simulated phone, and Burp will let you analyze the network traffic going into and out of that app. And this is what we're going to use for most of the projects in this course. And there are many ways to do it. So what almost everybody should just do is 140 and 141. These others are older, more difficult ways to do it that you probably should just ignore. For almost everybody, just do 140 and 141. Now, you see the name here. The projects are here on this page. And so, you see 140 and 141 are right there. They're the first two projects you should do. And I have these alternative Android emulators that only run on Mac or Linux or only on Windows, and there are a lot of problems with them. This is what I used to do because the Google Android emulator used to be really bad. But it got better, and now we can just use the official one from Google, and it's much easier to install and use. So that's what we're going to do. 140 is Android Studio emulator. You just download Android Studio and install it on your machine of any type. It's kind of big, but it's easy to install and it runs really well. So let me launch it here. And it runs on every kind of hardware. That's why it's great. Mac users, PC users, Linux users, you can all just install Android Studio. This is Google's development environment for you to write apps. And in order to test your apps, you can simulate devices. So let me go to my instructions here. Get it started and create a device. Go to Device Manager and create device. You see over here, Device Manager, and there's an option to create a device. All right, now, Android Studio is not exactly the same on every operating system because nothing is ever that perfect. So use Pixel 3, and what you want to do is choose one of these options with the mark here so you have the Play Store. So you can download apps from the Google Play Store and get commercial apps for this one. But if you're using an M1, you have to use API 31. Only the APIs are the versions of Android. And only some of them work on different operating systems. Like I say, nothing is ever that good. And the Mac M1, which is what I'm using, is using a different processor, and a lot of things don't work very well on it. So I had to use API 31. The instructions say for most people, I think you could use something else. But anyway, yeah, most people use 30, which is recommended, but for, all right. So I'm going to use, I want to choose Pixel 3a and API 31, although it doesn't really matter if you choose something else, but those actually get exactly the pictures I had here. So I do the 3A, and next, that's the hardware. That's the size of the hardware, the size of the screen and such. And here I choose which version of Android to use, which API level, and 31 is already selected. Now notice they're not downloaded. They don't all download when you install Android Studio. You have to download the API you're going to use. So if you'll have to download one of these and then put it on. I'm using, this one's already here, API 31. So now I do next. Now I'm ready to make a phone. Now there's one more thing I have to do in advanced settings. By default, the phone will not have very much memory. So you can only put a few apps on it, and that's annoying, so I want to give it more memory. So I think we take this up to 4096, right. I just want to change the internal storage to a bigger number, like 4096. It's not critical, and it's not particularly, that's a magic number or something, but this makes a reasonable phone. This way I find I can put about 10 or 20 apps on it before it gets full, and by the time I've done that, I should probably just throw it away and make a new one to test further apps. So, all right, now I'm going to finish, and here it is, making my phone. Now, you can start the phone with this little button here. That will launch the AVD, and hopefully it is launching somewhere. Ah, good, there it is. Good, there's my Android phone. It starts out black just like a real phone does, and there it is booting up. Oh, good, with the Google logo and some animation, good. So I'll get a simulated phone with the Play Store so I can download apps and analyze them. This looks really good. Okay, so I have Google Play and I have a Chrome browser, and if you want to see everything, you drag that up and you see all the installed apps, and there's a few other things here like settings and stuff. So now I have a phone. All right, now if you've done that, now you want to install Qt Terminal Emulator, just so you can get the flag. So notice the structure of these projects. It starts by telling you what you're doing, then it has step-by-step instructions, and then at the end is how you get your points. In the green box is the flag. Every project ends up with a flag, which is something you create on your phone to take a picture of and turn it in. And so I got to put on the Qt Terminal Emulator, and so I do that by going into, I click Home, there we are, go into Google Play,